Tonight on Y News, price of oil posts biggest spike on record after drone attacks on Saudi Arabia's oil infrastructure. Solon malls ban on private vehicles along EDSA during rush hours. The new implementing rules and regulations of the expanded GCTA law bar heinous crimes convicts from all kinds of time allowances. The Bureau of Animal Industry confirms African swine fever outbreak in some parts of Bulacan and Rizal. And Manila malls face closure threat over sale of stolen cell phones. Good evening. Oil prices soared on Monday with Brent crude posting its biggest intraday percentage gain since the Gulf War in 1991 after an attack on Saudi Arabian oil facilities on Saturday shut about 5% of the global supply. Kath Dumraos explains why.
Brent crude futures, the international benchmark, rose by as much as 19.5% to $71.95 per barrel, the biggest intraday jump since January 14, 1991. The front-month contract was at $66.28 per barrel, up $6.06 from its previous close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate futures climbed by as much as 15.5% to $63.47 a barrel, the biggest intraday percentage gain since June 22, 1998. The front-month contract was at $60.09 a barrel. Saudi Arabia is the world's biggest oil exporter, and the attack on state-owned producer Saudi Aramco's crude processing facilities at Abqaiq and Quraiz has cut output by 5.7 million barrels per day. The company has not given a timeline for the resumption of full output. A source close to the matter said the return to full oil capacity could take weeks, not days. Saudi Arabia's oil exports will continue as normal this week as the kingdom taps into stocks from its large storage facilities.
Saudi Arabia, we think, according to the announcement, will try to offset the shortage from reserve. In 2016 and 15, Saudi Arabia had increased the capacity of production before OPEC agreement to cut production. So there is a significant reserve that could maintain and help Saudi Arabia in the coming days till the production come back again.
U.S. President Donald Trump also authorized the use of oil from the country's emergency reserve. Analysts fear disruption in oil supply could bring dire consequences to the global economy and a repeat of global recession.
As Europe is already in the throes of recession, growth in China is slowing down, and growth in the U.S. is slowing down. The last thing we need is a spike in oil prices and a disruption in oil supply. If Saudi Arabia cannot defend its oil fields and the Houthi rebels launching further attacks, then we will have a repeat of the recession.
The drone attacks on plants in the heartland of Saudi Arabia's oil industry included hitting the world's biggest petroleum processing facility. Later, U.S. President Donald Trump said in a tweet the U.S. knew who the culprit was and was locked and loaded, but waiting to hear from the Saudis about how they wanted to proceed. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Tehran was behind the attacks. Iran accused the U.S. of deceit. Iran has denied claims it was responsible for the attacks, with Iranian officials also warning that U.S. military assets in the region were within range of its missiles. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Department of Energy lays out a mitigation plan to ensure enough oil supply in the country after the attack in Saudi Arabia. John Nano tells us why.
Department of Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi yesterday met with the entire energy sector to ensure preparedness for the possible impact of the drone attack on Aramco Oil Company in Saudi Arabia. According to DOE Assistant Director Rodora Romero, the attack has no direct impact yet in the country's oil price and supply.
But in the event na hindi nga maibalik, ang sabi ng US, maglalabas siya ng supply galing dun sa kanyang strategic petroleum reserve. Tapos at the same time, yung other OPEC countries din, mag-i-increase din ng production.
The DOE official adds the oil companies based in the country has stored enough supply based on their minimum inventory standard.
So, base naman sa mga submission ng oil company, more than the minimum inventory yung kanilang stock. But sa ngayon kasi, yung kinukuha nating crude sa Saudi is only 12.2%. Ang malaki tayong kumukuha base sa first update natin is sa UAE, mga 32.23%.
Though the attack has no direct impact in the country's oil supply, several oil companies will implement a price hike effective tomorrow at 6 a.m. 1 peso and 35 centavo increase per liter of gasoline, 85 centavos for diesel, and a 1 peso per liter price increase on kerosene. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
A lawmaker seeks to ban private vehicles on EDSA daily from 6 to 9 a.m. and 6 to 9 p.m. The MMDA will present the proposal at the Metro Manila Council in October. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Around 400,000 vehicles ply EDSA daily. Authorities expect this number to rise by 15 to 20% this last quarter of the year. Majority are private vehicles, while around 8,000 are public utility buses. With the ever-worsening traffic situation on the longest road in Metro Manila, Caloocan Representative Edgar Erice proposes to ban all private vehicles between the busiest hours.
Dapat yung 5 lanes ng EDSA from 6 to 9 a.m. at 6 to 9 p.m. dedicated lang sa mga public utility vehicles.
This means only buses, utility vans, and jeepneys will be allowed to ply EDSA during those hours. Congressman Erice says this is to give priority to hundreds of thousands of public commuters who, according to the lawmaker, loses time for their family and has lowering levels of productivity because of being stuck in traffic.
Bibilis ang daloy ng trapiko, yung dating 2-3 oras, baka wala pang 1 oras from Monumento to Makati. Pagkatapos nito, makakatipid sa fuel, lalaki ang kita ng mga drivers, makakadoble sila ng biyahe, at mabilis na maihahatid yung ating mga kababayan sa kanilang mga tanggapan.
As for private vehicle owners, the lawmaker suggests 4 options. Leave early, take other routes, use the bus, and travel after 9. The MMDA said they will look into the proposal as this may benefit majority of public commuters.
Ito yung pro-commuter nga para sa mga ordinary nating mamamayan na mas mapabilis, no, yung biyahe nila. Ngayon, pagdating sa private na mga alternatibo naman, sabi nga ni Kong Erice.
Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Department of Public Order and Safety or DPOS in Quezon City demolished houses and small businesses which occupied the sidewalks of Barangay Bagong Bayan, Quezon City. Residents complained they were not consulted before the demolition. They insist their area is not included on the DILG's list of areas to be cleared. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Almost 100 Barangay Bagong Bayan residents couldn't do anything when DPOS demolished their houses, internet shops and stores which occupied the sidewalks of Obrero Street.
Nung Webes, sinabi nila sa akin na merong demolition dito sa Bagong Bayan, exempted yung Kalye Obrero. Nagtataka ako, bakit pinasok nila yung Obrero ngayon? Ibig sabihin, hindi nila tinupad yung pinag-usapan namin.
Na imbis na kami ay i-demolish, dito na lamang kami at handa namang magbayad.
Kaya inihiling ko po na sana yung makausap po namin si Mayora. Sana kapag meron na siyang yung tawag no, yung proyekto, sabihan niya kami para makaredy naman po ng mga tao dito.
DPOS explains they had notified the residents to self-demolish and relocate.
Makikita ninyo dito, meron yung iba dito na namarkahan ng X. May mga puti na nakamarka na yan ay binibigyan ng period of relocation.
DPOS also clarified residents had incurred a violation since their structures are built on sidewalks which is a public road.
Kung makikita ninyo, ito yung buo ng kalsada ng obrero, wala na kayong makikitang sidewalk. Kasi ang mga tahanan na yan ay in-encroach na yung ating sidewalk.
The structures to be dismantled are made of concrete, so the clearing operations may take days. Residents here are advised to relocate before depots totally demolish their houses. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Malls and retail establishments in Manila City that harbor vendors of stolen cell phones face closure. Mayor Isko Moreno orders the city's business permits and licensing office to inspect all malls that are into selling stolen phones. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
The Manila Police District Special Mayor's Reaction Team have seized 148 allegedly stolen cell phones in two Manila City malls. Mayor Isko Moreno Dobagoso presented today 5 suspects who were allegedly involved in buying and selling of stolen second-hand cell phones. The local chief executive gave 72 hours to Tutuban Center Mall and Isitan Cinerama Mall to inspect stalls and clear their malls of stolen mobile phones, or else they will be ordered shut down. Tutuban Center Mall vows to comply with the mayor's order.
Tigilan ninyo na ang pagtitinda ng mga nakaw na bagay at huwag ninyo sasabihin sa amin na hindi nyo alam.
Minors involved in robbery snatching are now under the Manila Department of Social Welfare custody.
Ayaw kong may iiyak na namang nanay, may iiyak na namang tatay dahil nasaksak yung anak niya, namatay yung anak niya dahil inagawan ng cellphone.
The police are currently searching for an alias bank who allegedly collects stolen mobile phones. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Rookie team DNR Warriors went home with winning smiles on yesterday's game day at the UNTV Cup Season 8. The Pasig City Sports Center crowd also cheered for the Ombudsman Graph Busters and the NHA Builders for entering the win column. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
It was a historic moment for the DNR Warriors after bagging their first win in the league against the GSIS Furies 101-98. New but fierce, the DNR proved to be a team to watch out for this season and showcase the results of weeks of practice and conditioning during the off-season. 3-point shot, a slam dunk, and top offense plays worked well for them. Ralph John Lansang was hailed the best player of the game with an impressive 51 points.
Mahirap, pero masarap. Halos hindi ko maisip ng bola, nakikita ko lang 8 seconds. Ibubuhos ko to kahit pag mintis okay lang kasi all naman eh. Gumanon na lang ako. Hindi ko expect papasok.
The GSIS Furies vowed to come back stronger in their next match with two-time champion Judiciary Magis on September 29.
Sinuwerte lang din sila bandang uli. Ang alam po, yun yung pinakaano niya eh. Sa lahat ng tira niya sa 3 points, yun pa yung pumasok. Kaya break of the game lang talaga yung nangyari.
In the second game of the triple header, the Ombudsman Graph-Busters finished off rookie team SSS Kabalikat 110-73. While Season 7 third placer NHA Builders broke the hopes of the PNP responders down to record their first victory in a neck-and-neck third game that ended at 85-81. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Welcome back to Wine News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I'm Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. The Bureau of Animal Industry confirms African swine fever outbreak in some parts of Bulacan and Rizal. The new implementing rules and regulations of the expanded GCTA law bar heinous crime convicts from all kinds of time allowances. The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency admits recycling of illegal drugs seized during buy-bust operations is still rampant among corrupt cops. The Finance Department orders the Tax Bureau to close down all POGO workers that have failed to settle tax liabilities. And Wish 1075 receives its third most innovative FM Broadcasting and Media Production Award. Good evening. The Bureau of Animal Industry confirms an outbreak of African swine fever in Rizal and Bulacan. Meanwhile, the Quezon City government conducts culling operation after confirming the presence of ASF in the city. Ray Pelayo reports why.
By Director Ronnie Domingo has confirmed the incident of ASF outbreaks in Bulacan and Rizal due to an abnormal number of swine deaths in some parts of the two provinces.
Basta na-confirm na ito ay tumaas do sa normally expected na nagkakasakit at normally na bilang na namamatay, tumaas na siya, outbreak na po yun.
Kailan po na masasabi natin nag-outbreak doon sa Rizal?
August po yan.
Bai calls on the public not to hide dead hogs and report any swine deaths to them, instead letting the dead animals drift in rivers as this might infect swines in other areas. Meanwhile, in Quezon City, Mayor Joy Belmonte herself announced the presence of African swine fever in the city, particularly in Barangay Bagong Silangan. 14 hogs have been tested positive for ASF. Mayor Belmonte, however, clarified that those are not the hogs recovered from a creek last week. They have culled 50 hogs that were within 1 kilometer radius from the area affected with ASF. Belmonte also said backyard hog raising is prohibited because there is no agricultural land in the city. She added she had directed the phase out of backyard hog raising in the city even before reports of ASF virus infection surfaced.
Siguro kailangan ng ibenta ang kanilang mga baboy kung hindi pa infected, at kung nando naman sa within the 1 kilometer radius na na-identify na natin na may positive, ay sorry pero kailangan na natin silang i-call.
Bai has not confirmed the Quezon City government's announcement. Director Ronnie Domingo said laboratory tests of hog samples are underway, including those floating in the Quezon City Creek and in Marikina River.
Sana makalaya tayo kagad in the shortest possible time, pero pagka may nagtatago at kanya na hindi nakikisama, may extend po yung ating control measures na ginagawa.
Ako naman, I take the stand na syempre local government official tayo, mayor tayo . So may responsibilidad at obligasyon tayo sa ating mga mamamayan. Hindi pwede yung wait and see pa.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Malacanang believes there is no need to give a directive to Agriculture Department Secretary William Dar in relation to the African swine fever or ASF scare. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Malacanang is confident the Department of Agriculture or DA is able to contain the incidence of African swine fever or ASF in the Philippines.
As far as they're concerned, they handle it properly. If there are isolated cases in one place, then they will take care of that.
This after the Quezon City local government made public announcement there are ASF cases in the city. The DA, however, refuted this, saying the matter is still being validated. The palace said the local government units should coordinate with the DA first before making any announcements. Malacanang also clarified both the LGUs and the Agriculture Department can make announcements and discussions regarding the issue.
The better action would be to call the DA secretary first so that he would know exactly what is happening in one particular place.
The most recent Bureau of Animal Industry announcement says ASF cases in 3 areas in Bulacan and Rizal are at an outbreak level. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The African swine fever outbreak in the country will affect price movements of alternative commodities such as chicken, beef, fish, and vegetables, according to the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez says price adjustments have already been seen in poultry products, which went up to 10 pesos per kilogram. Lopez assures this will be balanced by a low demand like what was seen in the prices of pork, which decreased to 10 to 20 pesos per kilo. He adds local and imported processed meats must be audited by the National Meat Inspection Service.
Sabi namin, i-audit nyo rin yung mga ginagawa ng mga meat processors para masigurado na yung ginagamit nilang meat products are certified also by NMIS.
The revised implementing rules and regulations of the Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA law was signed today. It excludes heinous crime convicts. The question on whether former Calauan Laguna Mayor Antonio Sanchez is qualified to be released under GCTA has been answered. Nel Maribuhok reports why.
After the Joint Review Committee's 10-day review, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año and Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara signed today the revised GCTA law implementing rules and regulations.
We enumerated the PDLs excluded, and you know all of this by now. Recidivists, habitual delinquents, escapees, and those charged with heinous crimes.
Heinous crimes are also clearly enumerated based on what is defined under the Republic Act No. 7659 or the death penalty law and Supreme Court jurisprudence. These are treason, qualified bribery, parricide, murder, kidnapping and serious illegal detention, rape, destructive arson, carnapping with rape or murder, and some illegal drug offenses, among others. The provision of transparency is emphasized, in which the names of the persons deprived of liberty or PDL entitled to time allowance or credits should be posted online. The Justice Department will now be part of the Management Screening and Evaluation Committee and of the accredited civil society organization. The revised IRR clarifies also the period of grant of credits and time allowances, but the recomputation of sentences will be detailed in the new manual of the GCTA law.
The grant will be at the end of such period, although the assessment is done on a monthly basis. Why is that so? Because of the concern or the comment na for a given month, a person will be given a good conduct time allowance. The following month, he commits an offense, nahulihan siya ng, let's say, ng shabu inside, so he won't get any time credit for that particular month. And then next month, he behaves again, all right, and he gets credit for that particular month. All right, after having committed a serious offense the previous month. All right, so to remove that anomaly, the grant will be done on a cumulative basis so that it's a general conduct of the PDL that will have to be taken into account.
Because of this, the DOJ assures that former Calauan Mayor Antonio Sanchez will not be included in the expanded GCTA. The DILG and the DOJ has given the Joint Committee a 60-day extension to review the GCTA law manual or guidelines. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The recycling of illegal drugs remains rampant in the country, says Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Director General Aaron Aquino. Senators expressed worry about this statement. One of them suggested the law enforcers' use of body cameras in their anti-illegal drug operations. Grace Casan explains why.
PNP personnel mostly do the recycling of illegal drugs. This is one of the statements of PDEA Director General Aaron Aquino during today's Senate hearing on the agency's proposed budget for next year.
Ang usually kasi sir na nagiging modus is that when they seize drugs, maybe half of that will be surrendered or yun ang sir palalabas nila na yun lang ang na-seize nila. All the other ones are being kept either for future operations or the worst of it is they sell the drugs.
With the permission, Senator, you know, it strikes me, no, medyo interesting for future operations, meaning pamplant?
Pwedeng pamplant, sir, pwedeng all other kinds of operations.
Aquino added there is an existing group that buys recycled illicit drugs that the agency is looking into.
Meron tayong drug queen dito sa Manila na ang ginagawa lang bumibili ng drugs coming from law enforcement agencies. Pag pumunta ka doon, law enforcement agencies ka, nagbebenta ka kahit 10 kilo, kahit 20 kilos ang binibenta mo, no question asked. Bibili nila yung kagad kung magkano yung presyo. So doon ako nakita na yung rampancy ng drugs recycling, ganun pa rin sir katindi.
This is an admission that law enforcement is failing from the very law enforcer itself.
When you join an operation at hindi nag-function yung body cam, dapat may automatic sanction because medyo poor alibi yung technical problem.
Aquino also raised the issue on the 22 billion peso worth of confiscated drugs still in their custody, which they cannot destroy since these are used by the court as evidence. On Monday, officials of the Supreme Court will be invited to attend the Senate hearing to come up with a process to dispose of confiscated illegal drugs as soon as possible.
We will plead with the Supreme Court to put its foot down on judges who refuse to abide by the law, yung implementation that within 72 hours, kailangan masira na yung mga drugs na na-confiscate.
Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa challenged Aquino to show evidence of his accusations against the police.
Mahirap yung puro lang tayo kandor, wala tayong leg to stand pagdating sa gano'ng accusation. Sana meron report para masabi yan. Sinong pulis yan nagre-recycle? Para I will call the attention of the CPNP.
Amid the controversial issues of GCTA in the Bureau of Corrections, Aquino said there is truth. High-profile convicted drug lords in the New Bilibid prison still have control of illegal drugs trade in the country.
In fact, meron kaming conversation, tape conversation between a drug lord inside the Bucor and a...
Large quantity ito?
By kilo, sir.
By kilo.
Initially, sir, she is asking if how much is 10 kilos. And sabi ng drug lord, can give it at 1.3 million per kilo.
According to Senator Drilon, he will move for an additional budget of the PIDEA to reopen a PIDEA unit in the New Bilibid prison in Muntinlupa after its old unit was closed. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Philippine offshore gaming operations whose foreign workers have failed to pay tax liabilities in the country might face closure. Rosalie Cos will tell us why. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III directs the Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR to stop the operations of tax-dodging Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs. This after a BIR report showed around 21.62 billion pesos accumulated tax liabilities of foreign workers in Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs. This is despite the issuance of notice to these firms. Based on the BIR report, POGO service providers have paid 175 million pesos of withholding taxes in 2017 and 579 million pesos in 2018. While from January to August 2019, the BIR collected 1.4 billion pesos from POGOs. The government has created an interagency task force to strictly monitor the entry of foreign workers in the country. Secretary Dominguez also wants the BIR to ensure the payment of the tax liabilities to be accounted to each foreign POGO worker. The BIR must also reject any lump sum offer or any other arrangements to pay their tax arrears. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. Defense Secretary Delphine Lorenzana investigates a deal between the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP and Dito Telecommunity Corporation. Dito Telecom is the third telecommunications player in the country, composed of China Telecom and Udena Corporation. The deal includes allowing the Chinese-linked firm to build their facilities near military bases. Secretary Lorenzana is unaware of the deal, according to Malacanang. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo confirms the deal can be scrapped if it proves to be a threat to national security.
The DND secretary texted me about it and said he doesn't know anything about it and he is going to investigate and ask the concerned people involved in the deal. So we'll wait for his findings.
The 2020 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections will push through unless Congress passes a law to postpone them, according to the Commission on Elections. May Bermudez will tell us why.
The Commission on Elections or COMELEC asks for a 9.8 billion peso budget next year. 5.77 billion pesos of its proposed budget will be for the 2020 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, with 2.2 billion peso additional fund. Poll body officials say they will continue their preparations, though President Rodrigo Duterte says he backs the postponement of the polls. A law needs to be passed in Congress for BSKE's postponement.
Yun lang pakiusap namin, Your Honor, is sana mapabilis yung pagpasa ng batas. Otherwise, we have no choice but to incur some expenses, preparatory expenses, especially so natali po kami ng procurement law.
COMELEC hopes the BSKE will not be rescheduled for 2022 if it does not push through next year.
If postponement should happen, it would be preferable. It would be 1 year before the May 2022 or 1 year after May 2022. So it could either be May 2021 or May 2023.
A low voter turnout of overseas Filipino workers during the last elections was also tackled during the budget hearing. Of the 5 million OFW voters, only 1.8 million are registered, while 18% are actual voters. COMELEC explained the lack of information and location of voting centers in some countries are the top reasons for the low OFW voter turnout. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Over 1,000 new plants abound the ground of Auckland, New Zealand, thanks to the efforts of local organizations and members Church of God International or MCGI. Let's watch this report.
Over 1,400 seedlings fill the residential suburb of Robertsfield, Teatatu South in the city of Auckland. Scores of participants planted various types of plants and trees along a 17-kilometer stretch public pathway. The Foul River Catchment Trust, the Auckland Council, and volunteers from MCGI took advantage of the bright sky and the rich soil to contribute to an even greener landscape. According to Foul Catchment Trust Restoration Coordinator Tegan Illingworth, the activity aims to make the public pathway more enjoyable.
We'd like to thank MCGI for coming out. Without the volunteers that we have come along, we could never get our work done. And this is 1,400 plants today they've put in, which is a huge effort. So we're really, really grateful for what they've done for us and for the public.
On behalf of MCGI, nais namin salamat sa Diyos sa isang gawain katulad nito na makagawa ng isang tree planting activity dito sa Auckland, New Zealand. Salamat sa Diyos sa pagtuturo ng ating mga mangangaral na si kapatid na Daniel Rason. Salamat sa Diyos.
Such tree planting activity is just one of the public services that MCGI offer to champion their advocacy of doing good without expecting anything in return. Paul Gatchalian, UNTV News and Rescue, Auckland, New Zealand.
And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The State Weather Bureau said 2 low-pressure areas or LPAs were spotted within the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR. According to Pag-asa, 1 LPA, which was the result of Tropical Depression Marilyn that recently exited the country, was spotted 895 kilometers east-northeast of Basco Town in Batanes, while the other LPA was spotted 280 kilometers west of Iba Town in Zambales. But this has a low chance of developing into a storm, although it will continue to enhance the southwest monsoon. Still, Pag-asa said the LPA west of Zambales is expected to hit a mainland Luzon before merging with the trough of a larger weather disturbance, which will then likely develop into a storm in the following days and will be named Nympha. Aside from the 2 LPAs, Pag-asa is also monitoring Tropical Storm Pepa, which was spotted outside PAR at 2,295 kilometers east of extreme northern Luzon. The tropical storm, however, has a low chance of entering PAR. Meanwhile, 2 cops who showed an act of kindness in Manila City are now a social media sensation. Their instant fame is coupled with a reward money from the city government. Harleen Delgado details why.
Not all heroes wear a cape. This was proved by 2 brave cops who rescued an old woman who fell in this part of the Pasig River under MacArthur Bridge. Today, Mayor Isko Moreno commended the two PNP personnel, Police Corporal Romeo Balagtas Jr. and Patrolman John Lester Magno of the Manila Police District Traffic Enforcement Unit.
Ayun, yung time na inabutan po namin yung matanda, ayun nga, nasa water lily siya nakahawak. Napaka-critical na po nung time. Medyo natakot po, kaya lang, ayun na po nandun na po kami. Saka nalalaya naman po ako nung kasama ko.
Balagtas received 50,000 pesos cash gift, while Magno received 30,000 pesos from Mayor Moreno.
Sobrang saya kasi mayroon na akong pambiling bagong cellphone, saka makakatulong rin sa amin sa financial na.
Masaya at may gagamitin na sa pang-birthday ng anak ko.
Through their act of kindness, the two cops are a model of selflessness and readiness to be a public servant, come what may. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
And for the news abroad, police are trying to recover a toilet made entirely from 18-karat gold said to be worth around $6 million that was stolen from the Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, England. Nina Armilio has the story.
Burglars have stolen a fully functional 18-karat gold toilet from Britain's Blenheim Palace, where it had been installed as an art exhibit. The toilet, named America, is valued at more than $5 million and was part of an exhibition of work by Italian conceptual artist Maurizio Catalan, which opened 2 days ago at the stately home 60 miles west of London. Thieves with at least 2 vehicles broke into the palace and removed the toilet sometime before 5 a.m., causing significant damage and flooding, Thames Valley Police said. Officers arrested a 66-year-old man in connection with the theft, but had not recovered the artwork. Blenheim Palace said on Twitter it was saddened by the loss of the precious artwork. The toilet was previously on display in a cubicle at New York's Guggenheim Museum, where more than 100,000 visitors were able to use it. At the time, the Washington Post reported that President Donald Trump turned down an offer from the museum to temporarily install the toilet for his personal use in the White House. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue.
U.S. President Donald Trump has angrily defended Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who is facing fresh allegations of sexual misconduct. A former university classmate of Justice Kavanaugh's has said he exposed himself at a student party and engaged in other inappropriate behavior there. Trump condemned the media and opposition Democrats. He suggested Justice Kavanaugh should sue for libel or that the U.S. Justice Department should rescue him. Justice Kavanaugh denied sexual misconduct accusations that were made against him by 2 women during his confirmation to the Supreme Court a year ago. Meanwhile, at least 6 people have been confirmed dead after Spain has been lashed by 2 consecutive days of torrential rains and flash floods. Meanwhile, at least 12 people have died and 25 are missing after a tourist boat capsized in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. Stephanie C. details why.
In India, at least 12 people were killed on Sunday and more than a dozen others went missing after a tourist boat capsized in Godavari River in South India. The boat was carrying more than 60 people, including passengers and crew, as it capsized near Devipatnam village. Several tourists were rescued by the personnel from India's National Disaster Response Force, and a Navy helicopter was pressed into service to help rescuers. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the accident. In Spain, a family in the southeastern Spanish town of San Javier escaped waist-high floodwaters which invaded their home and the surrounding area on Saturday. following an intense storm by taking refuge in the attic. Carlos Palares, his wife, and their 2 daughters, aged 1.5 and 3, spent 4 to 5 hours in the attic before being rescued by emergency services at around 1 p.m. local time. 2 consecutive days of torrential rain have caused many problems across Spain, with floods sweeping away cars and debris in the regions of Valencia, Murcia, and eastern Andalusia, and damaging houses. The floods have so far claimed 6 lives. Weather conditions are now beginning to stabilize and are expected to improve over the coming days. In Singapore, Singapore's air quality deteriorated to unhealthy levels on Saturday for the first time in 3 years, data from the National Environment Agency showed, threatening to deepen a regional dispute over forest fires. The 24-hour pollution standards index, which Singapore's NEA uses as a benchmark, was in a range of 87 to 106 in the afternoon. A reading above 100 is considered unhealthy. This is the first time the 24-hour benchmark has breached 100 since August 2016, data shows. The NEA said a confluence of winds over the nearby region was blowing the smog from Sumatra towards Singapore. And in the USA, Rick Ocasek, lead singer of 1980s US band The Cars, has died aged 75. He was pronounced dead at home in Manhattan after family called to report he was unresponsive, New York Police Department said. The cause of the death remains unconfirmed. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
For 3 years in a row, Wish 1075 is bestowed the Most Innovative FM Broadcasting and Media Production Award. The presenter of the Best Choice Awards say Wish FM's being unique and dynamic is what sets it apart from other FM stations. Mirasol Abogadil will tell us why.
Wish 1075 is now a Hall of Famer. During Saturday's Best Choice Awards 2019 ceremonies in Libis, Quezon City, Wish FM was accorded the prestigious Most Innovative FM Broadcasting and Media Production Award.
Wish FM 107.5, Most Innovative FM Broadcasting and Media Production.
Wish bested over 150 local and foreign nominees for the category, said Director Wilfredo Limke Jr., the chairman of Best Choice Awards 2019.
Wish FM was very active with a very unique, that's why innovative, very unique programs like the Wish Bus, Wish Covery, and all these types that never existed in other FM station. And ang matindi, it's holistic. It's being run by a complete package UNTV. That's why we know that we have morals, we have the balanced programming, and the most entertaining of all nowadays, and very active in the social media. And we are very proud because we're based abroad. Especially the Wish Bus, it even reached the United States. The program was being implemented there.
Wish 1075 is known globally for Wish-exclusive videos uploaded on its YouTube channel, which remains to be the country's #1 FM YouTube channel with 6.7 million subscribers and more than 2.4 billion accumulated views. In August 25, the FM station culminated its 5th anniversary festivities with the 365 anniversary concert to celebrate 3 Wish buses, over 6 million subscribers, and 5 years in the industry. Its online singing competition is now in the 3rd season, dubbed as Wish Cover Originals, which aim to wish cover budding Filipino singer-songwriter.
It's just super humbling, and we dedicate this to all of our wishers. It's only been 5 years since Wish has been on the airwaves, and it's just amazing how far it has come.
We can only expect the best. I mean, taking it from Kuya Daniel Razon, okay? We may not be able to see it right away, but you know what? It just pops up every now and then, and immediately, and it takes off from there. That's how Kuya works.
Meanwhile, UNTV News anchor Angela Lagunsad was bestowed a Best Choice Achievement Award for News and Public Service Broadcasting for her accomplishments in her field of work. Aside from being a news presenter, Angela co-hosts Good Morning Kuya and hosts UNTV's documentary program, Historia.
The Best Choice Awards aim to motivate companies and organizations to improve their products and services for their customers. Mirasol Abogadil, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this September 16, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
We enumerated the PDLs excluded, and you know all of this by now. Recidivists, habitual delinquents, escapees, and those charged with heinous crimes.
Basta na-confirm na ito ay tumaas doon sa normally expected na nagkakasakit at normally na bilang na namamatay, tumaas na siya, outbreak na po yun.
Meron tayong drug queen dito sa Manila na ang ginagawa lang bumibili ng drugs coming from law enforcement agencies. Pag pumunta ka doon, law enforcement agencies ka, nagbebenta ka kahit 10 kilo, kahit 20 kilos ang binibenta mo, no question asked. Bibili nila yung kagad kung magkano yung presyo. So doon ako nakita na yung rampancy ng drugs recycling, ganun pa rin siya katindi.
Tigilan ninyo na ang pagtitinda ng mga nakaw na bagay. At huwag ninyo sasabihin sa amin na hindi nyo alam.
If Saudi Arabia cannot defend its oil fields and the Houthi rebels launching further attacks, then we will have a repeat of the recession.